It was the summer after my second year of college when my parents decided we needed a getaway. They rented a small house on a quiet lake in Maine. It wasn't too fancy, just a two-story cabin with weathered wood siding and a dock that stretched out into the water. But it was exactly the kind of peaceful escape we thought we needed. I remember the drive being long, but the moment we arrived, I felt like we were stepping into another world. The water was calm, surrounded by tall pine trees that stood like silent sentinels. It felt isolated, but in a comforting way, at least at first. The first few days were everything you'd want from a trip like that. My sister and I swam in the lake during the afternoons, the sun warming our backs as we floated lazily on inflatable rafts. My dad fished from the dock, sometimes catching something small, sometimes nothing at all, but never seeming to mind. At night, the air grew cool and crisp, and we'd light a fire in the old stone pit behind the house, roasting marshmallows until the stars filled the sky. It was simple, wholesome, and exactly what I thought I'd remember most about that week. But by the fourth night, something changed. My sister was the first to notice it. She swore she saw a man standing by the tree line across the lake, watching us as we sat by the fire. I laughed it off, saying it was probably just another cabin owner or a hiker passing through. But when I looked where she pointed, I did see something, a dark figure, motionless, barely distinguishable in the fading light. I convinced myself it was just a trick of the shadows. Still, my sister's unease rubbed off on me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't as alone as we thought. The next day, I woke early and walked down to the dock alone. The air was misty, the lake surface glassy and still. I sat with my coffee, enjoying the silence, until I noticed something odd. Footprints. They weren't ours. These were heavy boot prints in the damp dirt leading from the woods to the dock and stopping only a few feet from the water. My heart raced as I followed them backward, but they disappeared into the forest before I could make sense of them. Nobody in my family owned boots like that, and we hadn't seen any neighbors nearby. I told myself again it had to be another camper or hiker, but the prints looked fresh, like someone had been there only hours before. That night, things escalated. Around midnight, I woke to the sound of creaking wood. At first, I thought it was just the cabin settling, but then I heard it again, louder. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, coming from the back deck. My room faced the lake, and as I sat up, frozen, I heard the unmistakable sound of the sliding glass door rattling, as though someone was trying to force it open. My heart pounded so hard, I was afraid whoever was outside could hear it. I wanted to scream for my dad, but fear kept me silent. After what felt like forever, the rattling stopped, and I heard the slow crunch of footsteps moving away into the night. The next morning, I told my parents what I had heard. My dad brushed it off, saying old houses make noises, and maybe I had dreamed it. But when he checked the back door, there were smudges on the glass, oily handprints, like someone had pressed their palms against it. That shut everyone up. We double-checked every lock in the house after that, and my dad kept a fire poker by his bed, just in case. My mom wanted to call the local sheriff, but without any real proof of trespassing, she decided not to. We tried to go about our day as normal, but the atmosphere had shifted. The lake no longer felt safe. It felt watched. That evening, as the sun sank low, my sister and I sat on the dock, dangling our feet in the water. She whispered suddenly, "Don't look fast, but someone's in the trees again." My body tensed. Slowly, I turned my head, and there he was, the same figure, standing just beyond the tree line, his outline sharp against the fading light. He wasn't moving. He wasn't even trying to hide. He just stood there, staring at us. My sister grabbed my hand, and we both bolted back to the house, slamming the door behind us. When we told my parents, my dad stormed outside, flashlight in hand, but found nothing. The man had vanished. The following night was the worst. I woke again, this time to a noise inside the house. A floorboard groaned downstairs, followed by the faint creak of a door hinge. My blood ran cold. I sat in bed, listening, every muscle locked in terror. Then I heard it. Slow, deliberate footsteps on the stairs. Someone was inside. My sister's room was across the hall, and I prayed she was asleep, unaware of the sound. I grabbed my phone, but in the panic, I could barely type the passcode. Just as I was about to call 911, the footsteps stopped. Silence stretched on for what felt like forever. I sat rigid, clutching the phone, my breath shallow, waiting for the next sound. Then, faintly, I heard the back door slam shut. Whoever had been inside was gone. I finally worked up the courage to wake my parents, and together, we searched the entire house, my dad wielding the fire poker like a weapon. We found nothing. No open windows, no broken locks, nothing taken. But the front doormat was wet, as if someone with muddy boots had stood there moments before. My mom called the sheriff the next morning, and they promised to send a patrol car by at night. But deep down, I knew that wouldn't matter. Whoever this was, they knew the woods better than any of us, and they weren't afraid. The last night at the cabin, sleep was impossible. Every sound made us jump. Every shadow outside the window felt alive. Around 2 a.m., I sat on the couch with my dad, neither of us able to relax, when we heard it again. Footsteps on the deck. This time, instead of freezing, my dad yanked the curtains open, flashlight in hand, and shined it directly outside. For a split second, the beam caught him, a man in a dark jacket, hood pulled low, standing just feet away from the glass. His face was pale, twisted in a smile that made my stomach drop. He bolted into the woods the moment the light hit him, disappearing into the trees with terrifying speed. We left at dawn. None of us spoke much on the drive home, each of us haunted by what we had seen. My parents reported everything to the sheriff again, but they never found the man. No arrests, no explanations. To this day, I don't know who he was or what he wanted. All I know is that he found us in the middle of nowhere, and for several nights, we were prey in our own home. Even now, years later, I wake up sometimes, in the middle of the night, convinced I've heard that same slow creak of footsteps outside my door. And every time I close my eyes, I see him standing on the deck, smiling through the glass, waiting for the right moment to come back inside.